It's been said that the young black male in America is an endangered species. Why do people say that? Because there are so many who are killed. And there are so many who are incarcerated. And it doesn't have to happen. You know, most people, particularly in the educational field, they know that young black males, kindergarten, first, second grade, they're just as good as all the other students. Cooperative, doing well. And as they get into the higher grades, something strange begins to happen. That peer pressure begins to kick in, that need to be cool. But I think one of the most detrimental things is when they open that American history book and they begin to learn about what a great nation this is, they don't see anybody who looks like them who made a big contribution. And then they say, well, next year, maybe when I take world history, but the same thing happens. Then they come home and they turn the TV on. Oh, there we are. Playing basketball, baseball, football, ramping in those baggy pants, acting a fool on some sitcom. And they get this impression that for them, that's what success is. They're going to be the next Michael Jordan or the next Puffy Daddy or something, you know, but it doesn't work that way. And, you know, what the media doesn't tell them is that only 7 in 1 million will make it as a starter in the NBA. That less than 1% of people who go to college on an athletic scholarship end up playing professional sports. That the average career span, if you are one of those less than 1%, is 3.5 years. And that they don't end up with glamorous lives. That part is not told. And what we need to start thinking about is how do we change that course? You know, you could take that little 6-year-old boy by the hand, anybody, from any ethnic background, and walk down the streets of Chicago. And you could give him a black history lesson he would never forget. You could start by pointing to his shoes, and you could say it was Jan Matzliger, a black man who invented the automatic shoe lasting machine, revolutionized the shoe industry throughout the world. And you step on that clean street and you tell him it was Charles Brooks, a black man who invented the street sweeper, those machines with the big brushes that come down the street. And you see a big refrigerated tractor trailer truck go down and tell them it was Frederick Jones, a black man who invented the refrigeration system for trucks, later adopted for airplanes, trains, boats. And it comes to a stop at the red light. You tell them it was Garrett Morgan, a black man who invented the traffic signal, and also how he invented the gas mask, saved lots of lives during the war. And while you talk about the war, you can talk about Henrietta Bradbury, a black woman who invented the underwater cannon, made it possible to launch torpedoes from submarines. And you'll see a beautiful black woman walking down the street. A black man did not invent her, but you can use that occasion to talk about Madam C.J. Walker, a black woman who invented cosmetic products for women of dark complexion, was the first woman of any nationality in America to become a millionaires on her own efforts. And then you can walk past the hospital and you can talk about Charles Drew and his contributions to blood banking, understanding the function of blood plasma. Daniel Hale Williams, the first successful open heart surgery in the world, had an operative mortality rate less than 1.5%. You look up at the surgical light, Thomas Edison. You didn't know he was black, did you? Well, he wasn't. But his right-hand man, Lewis Latimer, was. You can tell how Lewis Latimer made the filament that made the light bulb work for more than 2 or 3 days, invented the electric lamp, then pioneering work in incandescent lighting, diagrammed the telephone for Alexander Graham Bell, was an enormous inventor in his own right. Most people never heard of him. You walk past the railroad tracks, you can talk about Andrew Beard, the automatic railroad car coupler spurred on the Industrial Revolution. Elijah McCoy, the automatic lubrication system for locomotive engines. In fact, Elijah McCoy had so many great inventions, when something would come out, people would say, is that a McCoy? Is that the real McCoy? People don't even know where that term came from. And I'm just barely scratching the surface. So you see that young man never had a reason to believe that his ancestors didn't play an important part in developing this nation, and that he isn't an integral part of that nation. But you know, here's what's really cool. I could take that same walk down the street for virtually any nationality in this country, and I could point out tremendous contributions that were made. You see, that's one of the reasons that this nation excelled to the pinnacle of the world faster than any other nation in history, because we have so many people with so much talent from so many backgrounds working on our problems. And can you imagine what can happen if we stop letting people divide us and we start working together.